Next question, next statement comes from We Do Music on YouTube. This is coming from the video at 210 Brewing, where Ryan and I were having a great time and brewing up a beautiful light lager. He was watching while Ryan was pitching yeast, and he commented, "My training has my eye twitching. With that much beer, I would have to wear gloves and sanitize them first. Maybe I am OCD." Gloves are an interesting thing. If you watch that video, you see there is plenty of ISO being slung around. Ryan has gone up there and he sprayed the top of that port. He sprayed his hands. He sprayed the exterior of the yeast vessel. He sprayed on the ladder that he was using. Here's the deal with gloves. If you have an ATP meter, I would be really interested in you periodically swabbing your gloves and finding out what is on them. A lot of times I think that gloves are a false sense of security. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using gloves. However, if you are very clean, if you wash your hands before you do something, and then you hit them with sanitizer like an ISO or something, as when you get up the ladder to do X, Y, or Z, I'm not going to sweat that too much. What I've seen and actually done myself many times in the past, I've had a pair of gloves that I'm wearing forever. I'm doing this test, touching this, picking this up, drinking some coffee. And I'm using and those gloves are just your hands at that point. You know what I mean? Because you're touching all these things. You can go through a lot of gloves if you do that. And I'm not saying, there's nothing wrong with using gloves. So I am going to take a middle of the road on this one. I think if you wash your hands really well, which they did, if you spray them up with alcohol, you're probably just as good. If that's not comfortable for you, that's fine. I mean, I don't have any issue with it. But what I do have issue with is I think that there is a level of comfortability with, oh, I've got gloves on, I'm ready to roll. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that there can be plenty of sloppy pool that's being played with gloves on as well, and a false sense of security that can come with it. Anyways, that's just my take. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. I get it. If you are going to be wearing gloves in a scenario like that, I think you need to, potentially not be wearing them as you climb up the ladder and not be touching anything, and then put them on up at the top and spray them. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to think on it on that level. If the practice isn't for you, it's not for you. That's kind of my take on it. So appreciate the comment, man.